My name is Zybeze. Please do not be alarmed by my hideous appearance and gruesome sounding voice. I've temporarily borrowed a mini P.E.K.K.A suit from a friend, and I'm trying it on for size. Today, I'm going to show you how I went from 1,383 trophies to 1,721 trophies, moving out of Arena 4 into Spell Valley Arena 5, and then into Builder's Workshop Arena 6, completely undefeated. Going 14 wins, 4 ties, and 0 losses. Come, check it out.
Alright, YouTube, as you can see here, I started off at 1,383 trophies, the bottom of Arena 5. In order to get out of this, I used the Zap spell, the Archers, the 1 Elixir, Skeletons, the Witch, the Goblins, the Minions, the Giants, and the Arrows. Combined, they are absolutely unstoppable. On the left-hand side of the game over here, I'm going to have every single game, 18 games, where I went completely undefeated, showing you how I got out of Spell Valley and into Arena 6 Builder's Workshop. On the right-hand side, I'm going to be showing you some highlights from some of the better games that I thought I played and showing you some strategies of this deck to help you get out of Spell Valley and into Builder's Workshop as well, which seems to be very difficult for people. I don't know if it's because we don't have the right kind of cards, we don't have the Rage spell,
Poison spell.
we don't have the Elixir Pump that seems to be so valuable in the higher level of gameplays. But what we do have is a tank range push, which you can see that just took down the left-hand tower over there. And if you can take down their tower on your first push, it's pretty demoralizing for them. So it's actually quite valuable for you, not only on a gameplay level, but also on a psychological level. A lot of times people will quit if you beat them too early on in the game. Now, when people use a giant or a tank against me, I typically use a tank against them once they get onto my side. That way I can build up a formidable push while they are trying to take down my giant, and by the time they end up taking down my giant, I've already destroyed their giant, and my giant might already be back up, or I can just push toward their base. So, as you can see, I took out a lot of his troops there, and I'm just going to wait for my elixir to start building back up. What I like to start doing once my elixir is at full 10 is I'll either drop my giant or my witch in the back depending on how the game is going, and you're going to see that I do one of both pretty often. And again, you can see I dropped my giant as he dropped his giant. That's going to allow me to take out his giant fairly easy, even though he took down one of my towers. I now have a strong push with my giant in the front and my witch in the back with another witch about to come up if I want to use it, which I do. The spells here, the Zap spell is extremely useful for stalling enemies, for resetting Inferno towers, and for taking out those minion hordes that people seem to love in Spell Valley. I don't know what's going on. Some other things that I've noticed in Spell Valley is that people rarely ever use arrows. So if you want to use the minion horde, it's actually quite useful. Alright, in this next replay, I'm going to start with my minions in the back. That way I can kind of see what range spells he's using. For example, Zap or Fireball or Arrows or something along those lines. And if he doesn't use anything, I'm actually going to get a pretty strong push here. So he wasted his arrows. Now I know he has arrows, and that's really important for my gameplay strategy to know what my opponent has. I know he's used his arrows, and now he has this balloon coming toward me, and balloons are like my nemesis. I hate balloons almost as much as I hate Sparkies, but you don't really see any Sparkies down here in Spell Valley unless someone's trolling people. The way to take out balloons is to have your minions ready, to have your archers ready. Even your witch will do sick damage to the balloons. It's not really worth it to use Zap or arrows unless you're desperate. Otherwise, if you have a tower of some sort, you can kite the balloon over to the other side with 1 or 2 towers if you have it. That way both of your towers are getting shots on the balloon, and it ends up going down without actually dropping any bombs on your towers themselves. So as you can see, we've been doing some back and forth, but clearly I'm ahead in the game here. I can take out that tower fairly easy with my arrows and my zap, so I'm not too worried about it, but I do have to defend against this giant, which you can see I'm going to use my giant strategy where I push with the giant while he's pushing with the giant, or she's pushing with the giant, 21st century, and end up distracting their troops long enough to take out whatever else he throws at me, and then also build up a strong push at the same time. So again, I'm just going to slowly whittle down that tower as I defend my towers. He pushes a giant here, but I know that he doesn't really have much elixir, so I don't worry about any other troops coming down the right-hand lane. So I take out the giant super easily. Like I said, I have that strong push, and in this case, I'm able to take out that tower. Shabam, 3, 2, 1, good game. Alright, going up against Fan in my next battle. You can see now we're up near 1,600 trophies, which is quite amazing. Fan has the elixir pump, which is going to be really hard to go against because he's going to have an elixir advantage the entire time, especially if he's using a spawner deck. I'm going to be on the defense. The reason why I'm showing you this battle is because he is using a spawner deck, and I wanted to show you how to use the strategy to defeat several of the typical types of gameplay that I see in Spell Valley. The first being the giant push. The second being the giant plus balloon push. The third being the spawner deck. And the fourth being the just straight up high level cards where somebody for some reason dropped down. So for the spawner deck, you're going to have to play a little bit defensively, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of strategies for spawner decks, but this is how I typically approach them. I'm going to wait for my elixir to build all the way up, and then I'm going to start a push. I'm going to start with my giant in the front, and doing so is going to distract any troops that he has. Behind, I'm going to have some ranged troops, and I'm going to drop my AoE spells as much as possible. That way, I'm taking out not only damage to his spawner towers, but also to his main 3 towers. I don't know if you guys know this, but you want to make sure that you avoid that center tower until at least one of the side towers are out. If you hit that tower, you'll wake up the king. That means the king's going to start shooting at you, and that's kind of a bad news bears situation for you, because it's going to make your game all the more difficult. So as you can see, I have a pretty strong push going here, and it's all because of the giant. The giant's going to soak up all that damage from those spawner troops, and then the opponent is going to get a little bit frustrated, maybe throw down some anticipatory troops or some troops that don't really respond well to what it is that you're using. Always, if I can, I'm going to drop my giant in the front. I'm going to drop my range in the back. This is a play on some of my first decks that I ever made videos for, and if you haven't seen those videos, they're actually quite useful in Spell Valley and in Builder's Workshop. So I highly suggest using them. Go back through my videos, check them out, give them a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and you like what I'm doing right here. So here I have 2 witches on his tower, and that's just going to be enough to overwhelm him. And regardless of that spawn next to him, I already have the majority of his tower taken out, and I have a pretty strong strategy on how to defend against this little push that he has going. So as you can see, I'm going to drop my giant in the front, I'm going to drop my range in the back, and I'm going to use my AoE spells as much as humanly possible to whittle down those towers as much as possible. And here is where I end up defeating him. He can't take out the giant. 1 punch, he's done. Good game. Alright, so in this last battle, I am finally in Builder's Workshop. I know that seems quick to you, but if you look on the left-hand side, there's essentially 18 games that are going on right now, and this last battle is really intense because it's the battle where he has the high-level cards. That golem. I shouldn't be versing a golem right now, in my opinion, but for some reason, I am. He's also a higher level than I am, so I'm guessing maybe he just sucks or something like that. But Darktown's definitely going to do some work with that golem if I'm not careful. So let's focus solely on this battle. You can see here that I am just trying to defend as best as humanly possible. He had the air dragon alongside his golem, which is actually going to be kind of difficult for most people to defend against. But one thing that I really like about this deck is there are 3 anti-air cards along with Zap and Arrows. And that's going to be very valuable for you against those balloons, against those dragons, against those minion hordes and swarms and all those different strategies that players in Spell Valley and Builder's Workshop seem to utilize more often than in the higher arenas. So he's going to drop his Golem again, and I know that. That's like his strategy, right? That's why he's down in Builder's Workshop, because he doesn't know anything else. So I'm going to push with my Giant, and that's going to distract the dragon. Meanwhile, I'm going to take out this Golem. When the Golem splits in 2 into the Golemites, it does some damage, so you want to make sure that whatever cards you have around the Golem aren't low health cards. That way, the Golemites' explosion doesn't actually destroy them, but rather is in your favor, in your advantage. So again, I just had enough time to drop my Giant, and there's not much he can do here, especially if I drop my Minion Horde behind. He's going to have a hard time defending against this, which he actually didn't have that hard of a time. His Musketeer did pretty well. Something I like to do against dragons is drop my Witch, because the little skeletons that the Witch sends out are actually a pretty good distraction while the Witch does some work against the dragon. So, alright, I'm not doing the best in this game, so I need to start playing a little bit more defensively, a little less offensively. I'm going to defend against this Golem again, and I'm going to drop my Giant, like I typically do, and I'm going to start up a strong push. On the right-hand side, you can see I was just showing off my Builder's Workshop. You can see I got to 1,721 trophies for the first time ever on this account, and that is just like amazing. That's like an accomplishment for me. So I decided to make a video. Not only was I undefeated in 18 games, but also it's pretty epic to go from one arena to the next in a straight up slew of victories. So my Giant is not going to be stopped here, and he's going to have a hard time stopping it because I have the arrows, because I have a strong push behind him, and that's actually going to get me the game. So as you can see on the right-hand side, there's my battle log. I hope you enjoyed the videos.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please leave a comment in the comment section below, or click subscribe if you'd like to see more Zybeze videos. Enjoy. Have a wonderful, beautiful day.
Subscribe below, and have a beautiful, wonderful day. Thank you.